everyone, this is Catherine O'Connell and welcome to Lawyer on Air. If you are looking for inspirational stories about women in law, then this is the podcast for you. Join me and my lawyer ladies as we enjoy a glass of wine after a hard day at work and talk about the world of women in law. It's my passion to share stories of amazing legal ladies who are working as in-house legal counsel, who have law firm roles, who are leading on boards, and who are doing law differently. From time to time, I will also invite special guests on the show to share their insights on legal recruiting and tips for getting hired as a successful lawyer in Japan. I hope you will enjoy getting to know these amazing women who I am so proud to share a profession with. I'm glad you're here and I hope you enjoy the show. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Lawyer on Air podcast. In this episode, I share with you another diverse story of a woman working in the law in Japan. I'm Catherine, the host of the show, and I'm a lawyer based in Tokyo for more than 20 years. And I love helping unlock the wisdom of the stories that women lawyers and women working in the law never tell. As I mentioned in the introduction to this podcast, from time to time, I invite onto the show special guests to share about the market in Japan. Today we have a special guest who is a legal recruiter working in the Japan market. Her name is Yuna Yoshimasa. Yuna is experienced as a legal recruiter at Just Legal, which is an executive firm specialising in legal and compliance in Tokyo. She leads the healthcare sector and assists pharmaceutical, medical devices, diagnostic companies and health tech companies in their mid to senior legal, both bengoshi and foreign qualified and compliance hires. In February 2024, Yuna was recognised for her contribution to the healthcare industry and awarded the Young Leadership Award by the Management Committee of Health 2.0 conference held in Dubai. Yuna is a true relationship builder and she has her finger on the button in this legal market in Japan at all levels of private practice and in-house, whether you are a bengoshi lawyer, a Japanese lawyer, or a foreign lawyer, or you are considering coming to work in this hot and active market in Japan. What a treat it was to listen to Yuna sprinkle all kinds of gems. So if you are considering the Japanese market for a law job in the future, or if you are someone who is thinking of an industry shift into pharmaceutical or health tech, then this is the episode for you. On this episode, Yuna shares information on trends in the market, compensation insights from a legal survey she conducted with heads of legal in pharma. She also shares her tips for how to work successfully with a legal recruiter in this market and the hot new legal areas to work in, and these are just gold. And Yuna also shares a quote from a famous person that makes absolute sense and means a lot to Yuna in how she helps people connect the dots in their career. You don't want to miss this episode. Let's get into it. Hello, Yuna, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. It's a great honor to be here.
I was so glad when I asked you and you said yes. I could see the excitement on your face and also the nervousness, but mostly looking like you were really pleased to be asked. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Oh, good. And, you know, I ask everybody the same question, so I'd love to ask you as well. If we are meeting up in person, where would we be? Do you have a favorite wine bar or restaurant that you love to go to? And what would be your choice of beverage off the menu today?
Well, I actually recently been to this nice restaurant, and this is a hidden fusion restaurant in Shirokane. And one of bengoshi I got to know through this job let me know about the restaurant. And it's a very tiny restaurant, but it's got a very private atmosphere where only 6 customers fit. And there is only one chef, and the chef cooks everything in front of us. So it's fun to watch him cooking. And he's got only one menu, which is chef's choice course. And his dishes really bring out the full flavor of the ingredients. And when I went there recently, about 1 month ago or so. The first dish was corn soup, just mere corn soup, but it broke the mold. And yeah, literally.
A corn soup that breaks the mold has got to be a good one.
Yes, it was so different from normal corn soup. All the other
Yeah.
dishes were amazing. And
Oh,
for,
wow.
yeah, drinks, he recommends drinks which go
Yeah.
best with each dish. And he's got a variety of red, white wine and craft gin, fresh juices, tea. So even for those who don't drink alcohol much, they can definitely enjoy. So maybe we should go
Wow.
there.
Oh, I love those places that are just, six, seven, eight people. I love them. And also that conversing with the chef while they're cooking or he's cooking or she's cooking. And also, I really love that they make the decision and you don't have to. Oh,
Yes.
sounds great. You didn't say the name, so maybe we'll find out the name later.
Oh,
No, no, tell me
right.
later and we'll pop it in the show notes. We
Yeah,
don't want
actually,
to give
because
away
it's a
everything at the beginning of the episode. So let's talk about that later. Wonderful. Well, so much fun to hear that, and I can't wait to go actually. But I believe you've also been listening to this podcast for quite a few seasons now. Have you found anything yourself quite useful from it?
yes. Actually, all the episodes I listen to are all interesting and stimulating. But here, maybe I would like to mention three
Oh,
advice
right.
which
Yeah.
I took,
Yeah.
and they're mainly from Hiraizu-san of GSK and Kikuchi-san of Bayer's episodes. And the advice I took from the episodes are: one, be honest with yourself and pursue what you want. And two, if there is no precedent, just make one. And the three, believe team members support each other. I know they're lawyers and I'm a recruiter, and what we do is different, but I think these are fundamental, crucial elements for successful career. And it's just very stimulating and encouraging to know how they became great leaders and how they have been opening up their career path and achieving opportunities. And yeah, I know them. I've met them
Yeah.
and I know how great they are. It was interesting to know how they did that with their career.
I love it. We could almost finish the podcast now by all of that information that you've just explained. And I hope people do pop in, and because their episodes are truly fantastic. And you're reminding me again how the comments that everybody makes on these episodes is so important. And for them and for others, and also for you in this market to hear that. Thank you so much for being such a great listener and supporter and fan of the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting those episodes on public for us.
I love doing it. It's my passion. And so I know that you've just mentioned too that you are in legal and compliance as a recruiter here in Tokyo, helping clients
Yes.
hire their successful candidates, as well as helping candidates find roles that are really great for them. But what's your background? Tell us about that.
Well, thank you for asking. Actually, I had never stepped outside of Japan until I went to Dubai, the UAE, following my father's expat when I was in the second grade of high school. And I stayed there for about 1 year and I went to international school, but actually many of the students and the teachers were Arabic people,
Oh, right.
but
How cool.
everything was taught in English. But my English wasn't good at that time, so I struggled, and it was my first foreign country, and I was shocked by totally different culture there.
I bet. It must have been so different to Japan.
Yes, yes. But that experience broadened my world.
Mm.
And I realized that, oh, my common sense isn't everybody's common sense. And what I thought normal wasn't normal for them. And those experiences made me want to know more about the world and also Japan as well. And also to brush up my language skills. So after my return from Dubai to Japan, I decided to go to Sophia University and I studied foreign cultures, histories, economics, linguistics, and so on. And in the third year of the university, I decided to go to Australia as an exchange student. And there I studied tourism and hospitality because at that time I was vaguely interested in becoming a guide interpreter, 通訳案内士 in
Mm,
Japanese,
yes.
who should know our own culture and also tourists' culture. And I thought it would be interesting, so I chose that subject and the university. But now I'm a recruiter, so
But you need to know about hospitality to be a recruiter
I think so.
and have an interest
Yes.
in other people's origins, right? Where they've come from,
Yes.
and that involves some tourism. But I loved how you said your experience led you to not only want to know about more about the world, but also about Japan.
Yes. I realized I didn't know much about my own country.
Isn't that interesting? Because many people say they go overseas and they want to travel more overseas. But your comment, I don't think I've heard anyone say that before. Even myself, I've never thought about that, that going overseas makes me want to learn more about my home country. Very interesting. I love that. And I love how you've taken your path then to recruiting and you joined Just Legal as a junior associate and then became a principal a few years ago. So
Yes.
tell us about that role. What are your specialist areas and what are you doing to help people in the market?
I specialize in the healthcare life science industry, which includes like bioventures, pharmaceutical companies, medical device, consumer healthcare. And I usually assist those companies to hire legal or compliance professionals.
Right. And why have you specialized in that area? Do you like this particular part of the law?
Yes, actually, I'm purely, I think, interested in the business and also healthcare and the well-being of human
Mm,
beings, I
yes.
guess.
Yeah.
And I used to help financial institutions and other companies and law firms before starting specializing in this sector. But I don't know why, but I enjoy this sector more than the others. So it's good that I'm now specializing in this area.
Yeah, that's also interesting because when we become lawyers, we often specialize in a certain part of the law, finance or M&A deals, or we might do compliance or corporate. And you're saying that in the same way, you found that sort of lead to go to a different area than finance or law firms per se, and go in this area that's really connected with you. That's amazing. And it even led you to being awarded this year, I think, was it in February, the Young Leadership Award
Yes.
at this Health 2.0 conference in Dubai. You were recognized for your contribution to this healthcare industry. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. That I didn't even know that kind of award existed, but it allowed you obviously to go back to Dubai or back to that part of the world. How do you get to be recognized for something like that in the market? I know it's through great work, but tell me a bit more.
Thank you for asking, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how they found me and recognized me.
But they found you.
Yes,
Oh,
because
wow.
maybe I'm on LinkedIn and I do write something about what I do and or sometimes share some market information there. So maybe they saw some of them
Maybe
and
they
reached
did.
out to me.
Yeah, because you don't get recognized if you don't be active.
Yeah, that's right.
Usually. So I think probably your activeness and then maybe someone nominated you. Who knows? But what a wonderful experience and
Yes,
to be
it
nominated
was.
and then to get that award.
Hmm.
Congratulations again.
Thank you
So
so much.
let's get into it then. So I'd love to ask you about several areas like the recruitment process and hiring lawyers in Japan, what the legal market's like here in your particular sector, maybe the future of law, and maybe then some tips about Being a lawyer in this market, maybe you can have some ideas there that might help others. But shall we start then with the recruitment process and hiring in Japan?
Sure.
Yeah, so when someone works with you as a candidate,
Mhm.
what can they expect about the recruitment process in Japan these days? We've had recruiters on before, but it's been such a while since then and things change a lot. But can you tell me what it takes, perhaps from an application date or your first interview with them? What are the steps that you go through?
Sure. About timeline, on average, it takes about maybe 3 to 4 months from application to starting date, and which are maybe around 1.5 months for interview process, then about 2 month notice period.
Hmm.
And actual steps are usually like candidates submit CV, resume. So hiring managers and HR talent acquisition people screen the CV. Then if it's okay, they move to interview process. And usually there are about 3 interviews in total, and then offer stage usually. But some companies sometimes conduct online test, which checks their personality and the basic competency. I think this is more common for Japanese companies. And sometimes companies conduct some assignment to check their legal writing skills or English skills sometimes. And I said around 3 interviews, but for senior roles such as head of legal, head of compliance roles, number of interviews increase usually, and candidates will speak with more people in total.
I see.
But
That's
yeah,
very
this is the
clear.
thank
Very
you.
clear. Well, how about on the hiring side then when you work with those hiring managers who are looking for
Yes.
maybe people who are in mid, senior legal or compliance roles, what are you hearing about from that experience or skills that they are looking for?
Well, actually, for hiring size, almost everyone,
Hmm,
uh, especially for legal side, legal roles, almost everyone wants to hire bilingual bengoshi with experience, ideally from both private practice and in-house.
right.
And if not both, they often say, okay, if not in house experience, secondment experience is a plus.
Mm,
This is the common basic requirement everybody
is that right?
mention.
That's
Yes.
quite different to how it was several years ago, to
Oh, okay.
demand quite highly that you be bilingual and that you've had private practice and in-house or say secondment. I think it used to be a little bit more flexible perhaps, and I'm not saying it's inflexible now, but wanting best of both worlds is quite incredible, really. It's quite a big
Yes.
shift.
Yes.
And is that
I think so.
specifically in pharma healthcare area, do you think?
No, actually, everyone across the sectors say the same thing.
Exactly. Wow.
Yes. But
Mm,
actually, it's good that they don't usually require industry experience.
right.
So they can move across industries.
Right, so that's interesting. So someone in one industry could move to pharma. So have you
Hmm.
had an example recently where someone's moved from a different industry to the
Hmm.
area that you work in?
Yes, many. Some
Interesting.
person moved from an energy company to pharma company, and some from directly from private practice to pharma company or medical device company,
Wow.
insurance
Right.
company to pharma company.
Oh, great
So many of
examples.
these.
Yeah,
Yes.
great examples. So it seems a little more flexible now. That's really good news to hear.
Yes.
Wow. But in saying that, what kinds of industries and sectors are hot? I guess you're going to say health tech or something within your area, but are there things that are really, really pumping at the moment that are quite hot?
Yes. Every year, number of pharma and the medical device companies have open roles in legal and compliance. But in addition to that, recently, I would say bio ventures, such as new bio ventures, foreign company coming to Japan, and Japanese bio ventures tend to look for first legal or compliance hire in Japan, and also health tech, meaning healthcare and IT AI. Those companies, especially more Japanese startups, are actively hiring, I guess. So these two are hot areas within the healthcare market, I would say.
Very exciting. Wow, I did not know that. Bio ventures. Awesome. And also the health tech area, especially for Japanese startups. And they're hiring their first lawyer. So that's a really great opportunity for someone who's looking for a new industry, new sector, kind of new, really new realm of working to do that and think about it. Wonderful. Are there any peculiarities, do you think, in hiring in the Japan market? So something maybe you think perhaps Japan does and perhaps other countries don't do, but maybe it's only from your experience of working in Japan market. But anything you think special about the way that recruitment's done here?
Right. As you said, I haven't covered outside of Japan so far, but one of my colleagues who used to work abroad told me that in Japan, compared to more developed and huge markets like New York and London, the whole search and interview process tend to be slower, he said.
Mm,
Outside of Japan, it's much faster. Like within 1 week, everything moves so quickly. But in Japan, I think it seems like a higher level of engagement is needed from candidates and hiring sides and also from recruiters because there are not as many active candidates considering a move. And in Japan, I think number of agencies with legal hiring expertise is still limited. So everyone need to commit and engage and spend some time. So I think it tends to be slower in Japan, and that's what I didn't know before.
interesting. And I'm super surprised that it's 1 week or so for those larger markets because it almost reflects the culture of those markets compared to Japan. So maybe things are done a lot faster in those markets, but Japan is very much a think about things, do a lot of research, do many, many things before you kick off some project. So I think it feels like the recruitment process in Japan reflects the actual situation of working in Japan as well. Things take
I
time.
see. That's interesting view.
Right. So, if someone's going through that process feeling quite frustrated in Japan, well, actually, it might be reflecting what's going to happen after anyway. So you better get used to it.
Right, right.
Perhaps you're actually inducting them to knowing about what it's like to work in Japan. So I think that's a really
I
good
see.
observation.
I see. Interesting.
Interesting. So every placement obviously is very different, but in general, especially in the area you're working in, do you have any general suggestions for lawyers to have maybe in their toolbox? Can we call it that? Toolbox for success for the talent market here? Things that you would recommend that they make sure that they hone in on and concentrate on for Japan?
In general, legal, logical thinking, reasoning skills are very important, of course. So I would recommend people to try to get involved in challenging deals and projects and matters, in addition to daily simple work, if possible. And also, language skills are important. So, for Japanese Bengoshi, English communication skills are important. For foreign lawyers, Japanese skills is also important. So, try to improve that skills. And for more senior people, I would say having people management experience is useful for the future career if they want to step up a career ladder. And if it's not possible soon, maybe being a project manager or leader who leads other junior or colleagues and guide them will be a nice experience, I would say. And particularly in the healthcare industry, uh, this is quite rare opportunity, I guess, but secondment to Ministry of Health, Labour and Welfare would be a strong item to have if they want to work for a pharma or medical device or other healthcare life science companies in the future. And as to practice areas, M&A and antitrust are the most often mentioned practice areas by hiring managers as nice to have items.
Whoa, what a list! That's gold, absolutely gold. And I really loved the idea of the secondment to the Ministry of Health, Labour and Welfare because I've never heard anyone mention that before
Oh,
as a plus, right? Seeing it from the government side, the policy side
yes.
makes lots of sense, but I've never thought about finding or considering a secondment to that area as part of a process for a pharma or health tech or in this industry. What a really great
Highly
suggestion.
valued, actually.
There you go. Wow. And I also thought your comment on, you can't always be a people manager. For example, you may not be, you might be an individual contributor and you want to step up to that next role as a people manager, right? But you've given the suggestion to indeed do something maybe where you are currently, which is managing a project or leading. Perhaps it's even a group or a committee, right? A DEI committee or pro bono committee or something like that that you lead and can show that you've been managing people. Something like that can be helpful.
Yes, that's right.
Great suggestions. Wow. How about working with recruiters in Japan? I mean, there's so many ways you can do it. And I know when I was younger, and when I was looking for roles, I always made friends with legal recruiters, and I'd consider you
It's
my
good.
friend too. So,
Thank you.
it's like that building a relationship as you do with any other friend and not just contacting them when you need something, but keeping that kind of nurtured along the way is one of my favorite ideas about interacting with recruiters. But how about you? Was there some sort of tips or ways to work with, or we might say use, but I'd rather say work with a recruiter pretty wisely?
Thank you for asking. And I totally agree with you. First of all, I would say it would be great for lawyers and candidates to stay in touch with a trusted recruiter. And I think maybe one or two will be good enough because one trusted recruiter can be a great advisor for them. And by trusted, I mean it's honest recruiter with integrity and who is responsive and who don't do negative campaign, or basically a recruiter who does things in your best interest. And if you find this kind of recruiter, I would suggest them to share everything. Everything means what they want, what kind of concerns they have, also compensation information, and well else you're speaking and interviewing with if you are an active candidate, and also honest feedback to the recruiter himself or herself, or to the companies they have spoken with, or any honest comments will be appreciated, because then the recruiter remembers you and everything you shared, and based on that, we recruiters bring good opportunities which match their wants. And also, especially with senior roles like head roles, general counsel roles, often job openings are not put public. So those information recruiters have. So I think it's beneficial to be staying in touch with those trusted recruiters, and also sometimes just being updated on the market regularly and knowing what kind of opportunities are out there will help them reflect on their career to date and their current situation and the future career path. And if we know only what we've experienced and where we are and don't know anything outside, maybe we can't really judge where we are now is best for us. So knowing options and knowing something else would help them consider other options. And even if they don't make a move in the end, that's totally fine. It means that where they are, it's better than anywhere else in that moment. So I think this kind of chance is great for them to have.
Wow, so many gems sprinkled in there. Lots of really great information to hear. I did also recall when you were saying about keeping in touch with just one to two trusted advisors that back in the very beginning stages, I had quite a few recruiters, and then I'd find someone had the same offer as another recruiter that had gone, not exclusively, but had gone to two people, and I had to try and juggle that, right? Hearing from one person and hearing from another person about the same thing, same role. And that was kind of tricky. It felt tricky as a candidate. So I realized exactly what you're saying, that it was actually better just to hone in and have one to two trusted advisors, trusted recruiters that I worked with. And again, sharing that information, it makes so much sense, especially that point about some of the roles are not public. So they might get a phone call from somebody who's hiring, and they reach out to you on the basis of that without it even going out there. So that's a great suggestion. That was fantastic. And my third takeaway from what you just said too was, you get a guide for where you are. It's sort of a calibration, just a call with Yuna, and you can say, I'm doing this now. I'm thinking about this. I'm not sure where I'm at right now, if it's the right place to be. And you can have a reassuring conversation and find
Yes.
out that you're actually in a good place, and maybe get some tips on what you can do to enhance your future 3 or 4 years ahead kind of idea that you're thinking about, which is fantastic. And that's exactly why we keep in touch. The other thing I think is that candidates forget that they've got a lot of information themselves about the job that they're in. They don't have to give away secrets, of course, but there's lots of intel that they too can share with you.
Yes, that will be very
Right, and you
appreciated.
remember them for that. If they share
Yes.
something, a struggle that they've had or a deal that they've done that they can talk about, so that you can get more information from them as well. So it's a two-way street is what I'm trying to say. It's not
Yes.
always
Yes.
just getting from you, it's giving to the recruiter as well.
And when it comes to them taking action phase and where we introduce them to company representing them, the more they share information with us, the better we can sell the candidate to companies. So this kind of information is so important, and we really appreciate that.
Fantastic. And what you just told us, you mentioned legal market. And what would you say is the sort of current hiring market in Japan in general? How would you say, is it more focused in one area or not, in-house or private practice, bengoshi, gaiben, foreign lawyers? What do you think, especially perhaps in your healthcare sector?
In general, including all sectors, both in-house and in private practice, I would say the market is just so active right now. And unfortunately, it is still candidate short market. Many companies and the law firms want to hire, but there is still a shortage of qualified candidates. And for candidate side, options out there and what kind of path they actually take are diverse. I think much more diverse than 5, 10 years ago. So that's good to see. And please let me explain briefly about each sector and
Oh,
also
yes.
my specialty area. So in private practice, so let's begin with partner searches. Partner level market is also active, and especially corporate M&A and energy partners are in high need. And I think because outbound work picked up after the pandemic, and trend is rather gaishi, foreign law firms looking for foreign qualified lawyers, foreign lawyers, and also Bengoshi partners, and sometimes small to mid-sized Japanese law firms, which are trying to grow their practice areas, are also actively hiring partner level Bengoshi or foreign qualified partners. And for associate level, again, corporate M&A and here finance, especially project finance lawyers are in high needs, and both foreign law firms and Japanese law firms are actively hiring. And for foreign lawyers, the market is also hot, and many law firms want to hire more foreign lawyers, including bringing them from outside of Japan. And I think this is to enhance diversity and inclusion. And it's improving a lot recently, I think. But unfortunately, because of weak yen, foreign qualified lawyers who want to come to Japan decreased recently. So that there is a gap for foreign lawyer side. And in-house, again, many industries, many companies are looking in finance, especially asset management and private wealth management. These sectors are really hot in Japan. The latter, private wealth management, is actually new market still in Japan. So especially foreign big financial institutions are trying to grow their business to this area too. So in this area, many finance bengoshi are needed. But it's good to know that usually these roles don't require any specific finance background. They're usually open to any finance lawyers or even M&A lawyers who want to go into finance. So that's good to know, I think. And for corporate in-house, manufacturing, tech, healthcare are hot areas, I guess. And in the healthcare sector, which I specialize in, people move a lot, and it's usually for career up. And also, there are so many legal professionals who don't have bar qualification, but has plenty of pharma or medical device legal experience for a long time, and they are to retire these days. So companies want to hire replacements, and also Japanese companies these days, rather traditional large companies, which used to have only small number of qualified lawyers, they started actively hiring qualified lawyers, especially Bengoshi. So the market is really, really hot, I would say.
Wow, that's a fantastic update.
Sorry,
And
maybe
yeah,
I
I
spoke
learned.
too much.
No, it's great. You've covered all of the areas, right, within private practice, different levels in the private practice area, partners, associates, and also, lawyers who are working in-house and Japanese companies looking for qualified people. I mean, just think about it. 20 years ago when I arrived in Japan, it wasn't key for people to have either Japanese or have been qualified as a lawyer. You could rise up the ranks having come from HR or operations and be just elevated and become the legal person in the group. But now they're looking for lawyers, which makes a lot of sense to me, especially what I'm seeing in the market as well. Great summary. And maybe the next question I'm going to ask you ties in a little bit, but you conducted a survey with head of legals at healthcare companies in particular and issued a newsletter about that. And I think that was as recent as in April in 2024. And we'll share
Yes,
the show notes with that link later. But
thank
could
you.
you give us, maybe you've already talked a little bit about it, but maybe there's another few highlights from that survey that you'd like to share?
Okay, I would share maybe three main highlights from what I found by hearing from the head of legals. One is about compensation. I found that average compensation of in-house counsels in the healthcare industry is higher than that of all in-house lawyers. I mean, average of all in-house lawyers' compensation. However, the gap between the highest and the lowest was huge, and it was about 9 million yen. So, depending on the role and the company, compensation level is so different still. And second one is more than 85% of recent open roles didn't require industry experience. So that's, I think, great finding. I knew this from doing what I do, helping healthcare companies hire legal and compliance professionals. But when I see the particular number, I was so happy because any lawyers who want to jump into this healthcare sector can actually do that if they are qualified in other areas. So that was a great finding, I think. And the last one is candidates with Bengoshi qualification, English language skills, and good communication skills have so much career options. And it can be said within the healthcare industry and also the whole legal hiring market. So once you have these three skills, their career path is just amazing. They can choose
Whoa.
anything, I think.
Whoa, there you go, Ben. Gosh, you go study and get really good at English, but also communication skills, right? Fantastic. And I loved how you've now got this data point from all these head of legal people at companies to endorse what you already knew in the market. Very interesting. Is there anything else? I suppose, in addition to this podcast, shall we say, resources that you recommend lawyers kind of check out to keep up with data or trends in the market, or is it really, having conversations with people like yourself? Are there other places they can go to find out information?
Thank you for asking. I would recommend them to see our company website.
There you go. Yes.
We update our blogs on market, like recent market, hiring process, and anything related, and also tips for candidates and also hiring managers. And sometimes we receive inquiries from candidates and hiring managers, so we answer their inquiries on our website.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
maybe some of those information might help them. And
Yeah, that is a different thing about your website. I did check it out and I did see that you have live questions answered, which was really quite cool, I thought, because that's a great aspect that other firms maybe aren't doing, distinguishes you. What else were you saying there?
oh, sorry, thank you. I am planning to issue another newsletter later this year, and also my colleagues are planning to do similar thing.
Good.
So please check out our website again, and also maybe LinkedIn for any
Lovely.
updates.
Wow,
I hope it
wonderful.
will be helpful for them.
Fantastic. And the newsletter is in Japanese, right? But people have ways and means these days of getting things translated. And I guess too, they can ask you, have a chat with you,
Yes,
have a
yes, of
conversation and
course.
talk about the newsletter as well.
But the
Wonderful.
next version, I'm trying to do it in English.
Wonderful. Maybe there's an intern out there who wants to help translate them. There could be an opportunity for someone to put on their CV that they helped a recruitment firm do a
Ah,
translation
wow,
from
good
Japanese to English.
suggestion.
Good. Here we go. Publicity. Anyone out there, have a go.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, let's move into future of law because you must be seeing some other kind of things coming from around the corner. Maybe we call it a crystal ball look at trends in Tokyo. Is there anything that you're seeing in the near future in the Japan market?
Well, I think this is an important topic for us and for candidates and hiring managers, everyone. But I would say for candidate size, their career path will be more diverse, I think. It's already diverse, but it's getting more diverse year by year, I would say, meaning they have just so many options. If they like, as you mentioned, they can move from industry A to industry B, or even from in-house to private practice, or private practice to in-house, then back to private practice again. So there are so many options, and this will become more common for them to take many different career paths depending on what they want to do. I think there is no set career path for lawyers anymore. And for employers' side, because candidates have so many options and everything is possible, I think employers need to do something to retain and or hire good talents. For example, some already done has done raising salary and improving working flexibility, like more remote working or whatever, and improving work-life balance and giving enough opportunity for career progression, providing new challenges and opportunities, those kind of things. And with this kind of market, I think, again, the value of hiring experienced lawyers will be seen by especially Japanese companies. And number of Japanese companies which offer competitive compensation just to secure good talent will increase. So there will be really positive changes and trends for lawyers, I guess.
Very exciting. And I'm just so glad to hear about this no common set career path for lawyers anymore. I mean, that's my mantra. It's what I live by. And it's part of this, it's actually a big part of this podcast is to show people that there is no one way to do the law and be a lawyer. And I love that there is more and more of that coming through, that there's no one common set path. Of course, people will take traditional pathways and that's fine, but it's also very much open to do something different and have a kind of more curious or interesting or varied career path. I love that that's one of the trends. Excellent. Wow, amazing. We're also seeing quite a lot of recruiters move from being in a recruitment firm to going in-house,
Right.
right? To say a company that hires an in-house special recruiter. Do you see that as well? And if you do, are you in that case dealing with the recruitment arm of the company or still dealing with the hiring manager? How does that work?
Well, we usually work with internal recruiters, talent acquisition professionals, and also as well as hiring managers, because both sides have different roles, I think. So hiring managers share detailed requirement and hiring background, everything we need to find suitable candidates for them. And internal recruiters handle the whole process, and also they make sure that the whole process is going smoothly and share feedbacks in a timely manner. So we do work with both hiring managers and internal recruiters. And to me, it looks like lawyers moving from private practice to in-house.
I see what you're saying, right? It's very similar. It's like private practice
Yes.
in-house, agency recruiter into in-house recruiting. Yeah, I get that.
Yes, and I think
Interesting.
it is generally good for us to different options. And also, personally, I enjoy working with those in-house recruiters because they basically know and understand how we agency recruiters work and what kind of information we need when. So to me, it's good.
Ah, interesting. They can get kind of different insights, can't they, from working on the inside, much as when you're a in-house lawyer, you can obviously get different insights on the business and the way that businesses work. So I'm sure that happens as well for the agency that moves indoors. Lovely. Well, let's jump to general advice for lawyers and women lawyers in particular. I'd love to ask you, about your advice for lawyers here in the Tokyo community. Is there anything that you've thought about? Maybe it's something you've already said that you want to re-emphasize, or just something else that you've thought of that you'd love to give your viewpoint about what people need to do here for progressing their career, what kind of information you might help them with.
Some of what I will say maybe would be repetition, but I would like to emphasize that being open for information and ideas is very important. And knowing the market and the full options will help lawyers shape their future career in a better way, I believe. And this is because people, including I, often make decisions based on our own experience and assumptions sometimes. And I think it's not wrong, but I think it sometimes limits possibility. And this is maybe a bit stupid example, but when we get sick, we consult with a doctor. And when we build a house, we consult with an architect. So when you consider your career, let's consult with a professional recruiter. And recent movements in legal market are quite diverse, as I mentioned earlier. So there are so many different movements across sectors and even between in-house and private practice. And I believe this will continue. So as I said, there is no set career path for any lawyers. So knowing all the possible options should be beneficial for everybody.
Yes, I do love your example. It's a really good example. I mean, why would you trust your job prospects only to your own feelings or your friends or family, what they tell you? Those are also very important, to trust
Yes,
your
yes,
feelings,
for
to
sure.
trust your instinct, trust your gut, and to, speaking with friends and family who know you quite well. It's also important. But
Yes.
if you miss out that other very important piece of the puzzle, to have the expert, someone like you, help you understand as well all of the information, then you can't make a really good decision without all the information.
I believe so.
Brilliant. Is there anything in particular that you would say for women lawyers? Is it really across the board now? You wouldn't make a distinction between any women lawyers in the market?
Right. As many may have noticed, some companies are actively hiring women lawyers for important roles. And actually, some companies even clearly say we want to hire female candidates, ideally. And this is for diversity and also building a stronger team. And to realize this, I think many companies and law firms, maybe law firms, they're a bit behind, but they're trying to facilitate systems and the culture, such as flexible working environment or equitable opportunities for career progression, even after breaks like maternity leave and childcare leave, so that women lawyers can keep doing what they want to do, like male lawyers do, and to attract more talented women lawyers. So I think it's again important for them to be updated on recent information, market information, what's going on out there and in this sector, that sector. And this is still in the process of change, I guess, in Japan. So I think it's good to have updated information on their hand. And in addition, there are a number of good role models these days, I think. So speaking with them and of course listening to this podcast will give them some hints for their career. And also we recruiters know about them as well. So we can
Yes.
share examples and hints as
Exactly.
well.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I know that the comment about diversity in law firms is often client driven these days, because when clients are
I see.
doing a RFP, like a request for proposal from law firms, they often ask now as one of their benchmark items or KPIs, who's on your team,
Right. I remember
right?
that it was mentioned in the
right?
panel discussion or some seminar.
Exactly, it is. And it's often there's another lawyer I know in the community who always talks about this, and she mentions about clients and customers need to be asking this too. They need to be asking their law firms for who's the makeup of your team. Have you got young lawyers? Have you got diverse other industry lawyers working in your team? Have you got women lawyers? Have you got all kinds of different experience on the team that are going to look after us? It's one of the questions that are being asked these days. So that's also interesting to keep in
Interesting.
mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
And for you yourself, what are you thinking about for the remainder of 2024? We're already past the halfway mark.
Yeah,
Are
time
there any,
flies.
yeah, are there any things that you are thinking about for your own like, personal development or activities? You've got that newsletter that you're working on, but is there anything else you're doing? And maybe there's other things that you're working with other people and might have some other things to inspire people in the community about activities that we can do in the last half year.
Well, I'm trying to improve my expertise in the healthcare industry. So just a few weeks ago, I participated in Jaila Healthcare Group regular meeting so that I can answer their questions about legal hiring markets. So I would like to have more chances to interact with any lawyers or compliance professionals who are already in the healthcare market or outside of the healthcare market, but who are purely interested in the industry. So I will try to be more public on LinkedIn or anywhere suitable. So I would like them, lawyer side, to reach out to me for any inquiries or anything.
Sounds great. Gila are getting more active in the market. I see they've got their next round of in-house counsel
Yes.
awards coming up as well. So you can submit an in-house lawyer who is Japanese for one of those awards or submit yourself, I believe, as well. So that's great. And actually getting in there and talking to their committee, the healthcare group, because they've got lots of committees and groups there. So
Yes.
why not offer your time and expertise to them so they can ask you questions about the legal market and get to know you? Who are they going to go to when they've got a question? They're going to ask you. So that's great
Yes.
marketing on your behalf, but also contributing
Yes.
contributing to the knowledge of the lawyers. It's beautiful, wonderful. Well done. Good.
Thank
So
you.
is there anything else as we wrap up that you'd like to mention that you had in your notes and you haven't said or would like to reiterate or reemphasize that we've already talked about?
I just want to quickly share Steve Jobs' word, which I like,
Yes. Yes,
which
please.
is you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that dots will somehow connect in your future. So by sharing this, I want to say just be open for new opportunities. It could bring you to an even better future. Nobody knows what will actually happen, but trust your own gut feeling. And I want to generate a good dot for everyone I work with.
Oh, you want to generate a good dot for everybody? Oh my goodness, that is classic. That is
Maybe
beautiful.
it sounds a bit
Beautiful.
cheesy.
No, it sounds not cheesy to me. It's so good. It's something I would say, so it's not cheesy.
Thank
But
you.
you better watch out. There might be recruitment companies coming after you after they hear this
Oh.
amazing episode. You are incredible. I've really enjoyed it. I've been sitting here. This is my 10th page of notes that I'm writing on now. I've had a great discussion with you. Thank you so much for actually saying yes to me when I
Of
invited you
course.
on the show. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much for inviting me and asking great questions to me.
Oh, wonderful. And if people are interested in hearing more from you, how can they do that? Is it really the best way through, say, LinkedIn?
I'm, yes, active on LinkedIn. And also, if they go to Just Legal website, my bio and the contact informations are there. So,
Perfect.
they can just Google Yuna Yoshimasa.
Yes. And I know if there someone who plays music in this community, you're also interested in talking with them, aren't you?
Yes, because I play the drums and I
Yeah.
hope I can play some gigs
Oh,
in a live session
oh, it's so good. And I want to
with
be there.
others.
I want to be there. But you are really drumming your own
Please.
beat in this market and making really great steps. I really
Oh,
appreciate you
that's
doing that. I
great
hope
expression.
yeah.
Thank you.
You talked about dots. I'll talk about making drum beats. But if
Wow.
anyone has listened to this episode and would think that somebody else in the market would get a lot from it, please do share and tell other people about this. Let them know about what's going on in the market. There might be someone you know who's overseas who's interested in coming here, or someone who's here who hasn't really thought about dealing with a recruiter or knowing where to go for the first steps. I think you got the magical Bible within this episode, and I really appreciate you sharing your information, Yuna.
Thank you for saying that. Thank
And
you
to
so much.
and for everybody else, come back here for the next episode. But that's all for now. See you next time. Cheers, kampai, and bye for now. Thank you so much for listening today to this episode of Lawyer on Air. I really hope that you were inspired by the story you heard and that you discovered something new about women in the law. Please subscribe to the show so that you don't miss future episodes. And if you can think of even just one person to share this episode with, that would make my day. I invite you to connect with me to talk more. Jump on over to LinkedIn or Instagram where you can find me, or send me a message via my website contact page. That's all from me today. I look forward to seeing you right here on the next episode of Lawyer on Air. Cheers, kampai, and bye for now.